Akina, what's up? How you doing?
Oh, it's been a while. How have
I
you
know.
been?
I've been good. I've been good. It's still here in California. Things are crazy, but staying safe, trying to stay busy. How about yourself? How's Guam?
Same thing. I think everyone's just trying to stay safe and, day at a time,
Yeah.
kind of try and move forward.
Yeah, yeah. And I see that, what I'm actually really excited to see is Guam is somewhat like forefronting the vaccine too, which is really cool. Like
Yeah.
I see more people in Guam getting vaccinated than I do out here, which is really awesome. So hopefully things will change, you know what I mean?
No, for sure. Safety for everyone. But dude, thanks for having me here. It's really excited to see you and catch up also.
Likewise. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
really nice to see you. It's been a while. Everybody that's watching, Akina and I have a history of friendship through our friends and bands in Guam and also just as creatives. So it's really cool to sit here today and talk with you and talk about what you've done for our community and also things that you're proud of and what you're, stoked to be doing in the future. So I guess to start off, just, tell people, obviously you're from Guam, but what's some of that history behind that? Where in Guam? What school did you go to, and all the like?
just called me out right there.
Okay.
Okay, I guess to kind of like backtrack a little bit. So I was born in Japan. And then when I was 2, I moved to California. So I was in San Bernardino, so just a couple of hours away from you, well, maybe like
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
And then when I was 10, I moved to Guam. And then that's when I kind of realized like, oh, there's another identity other than the Japanese identity that I carried for most of my childhood.
Right.
So I went to Jose Rios and then I went to St. John's. And then I graduated and I went to University of San Francisco. So I spent went to college there, spent a year working, and then I moved back to Guam, and then I kind of moved to Bali, and then I came back. So
That's
just
awesome.
a lot of floating around sort of thing.
Yeah, and we use the term, or you use a term, digital nomad, right? So
Yeah.
right. So a lot of people that are tuning in, that don't know Akina or haven't heard any of her work. She's a writer and she's been published in a lot of well-known publications out there. And tell us a little bit about the aspect of being a digital nomad. Is it something that you love and enjoy? Do you suggest people should try out, or do you suggest people pursue that if they're writers?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a really interesting question. So I guess the whole realm of digital nomad kind of took off around, I want to say like 2016, 2017. And if you think about it also in 2013, that's when publishing online has become really popular.
Right.
So if you think back, that's when Elite Daily started, Thought Catalog started. So all these online publications made it accessible and easy for writers to share their work. And also with that, land clients, if they're doing client work or if they want to start their business. So I think I was going through like a midlife crisis when I moved to Bali.
We've all been through it early in our life, right?
Yeah. So just online in 2017, and I saw this program that teaches you how to be a digital nomad. So I filled out the application, I hopped on an interview with the CEO, and then I got chosen to be part of her pilot program called Lifeline Nomads. So I went to Bali for 2 weeks in September 2017. And then 2018, I decided to buy a one-way ticket to Bali and like see if I could make it out there,
That's awesome.
Yeah. Which for 2 things, I would definitely recommend anyone who would like to take the jump to do that. Like never think that, life has you in this box.
Sure.
In certain circumstances. But I also would advise people to kind of be smart about it in terms of, saving money, like making sure you have health insurance. These are the things that I realized. Like I thought I was invincible.
Right.
When you're 20, you think you're invincible. You're not. You're invincible to car accidents, like, getting sick, losing your job. So I would definitely recommend it, but also just be kind of like, have a game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And I can agree with that as a musician, like we're always touring, we're always trying to find, uh, ways to make things possible, especially being young. Cause I started touring maybe like at 20, 21 out here in the States on the mainland here. And you have to be cautious. You can't just jump in and not be prepared to come home and how are you going to pay your rent? Whereas for you, a little bit different, you relocated and, you made things and you made ends meet there. But I can definitely, agree with that sentiment because it's hard, and especially as a creative, you have to be prepared because sometimes you don't know if the next paycheck is going to come, so I definitely,
I was living off cup noodles. I brought like 12 bowl noodles with me.
Yeah.
And then 2 bags of hot Cheetos and like 3 bags of Oreos. I know it's so nutritious, right? And of course, like the Japanese snacks, like the stuff that you can like microwave in the food and whatnot. But even with that, I had to basically write articles for like $12 per article just to kind of like survive out there.
Sure.
And, luckily, cost of living is much lower than it is in the United States or on Guam. So just like going through that, like, and trying to put your foot out there as a writer kind of broke me, but in a good way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Tests you.
It made me really see, past Instagram filters, and everyone saying like, "Oh, it looks like you're having fun." It's like, but you also don't see the hours that go behind the scenes.
Exactly. And it's so funny because it's the same way. You don't see a lot of people who are sitting in the studio and then they have to go and tour and make nothing. So yeah, I can actually really agree with that. And it's funny that it correlates coming from a writer's perspective too. That's awesome. So let's talk about some of the things that you've done. Obviously, well-renowned publications, and some of them I can list out here. Like you provided is Elite Daily. I've read that one before. Thought Catalog Life Hack is very similar in the sense that I've seen that all over the place. And P.S. I Love You, which is really awesome. So talk about that. How did you kind of get into that world of writing for these big publications, and what's next in that world?
Yeah, so luckily I was able to kind of penetrate that market very early on. Like I had explained, this is when internet writing became a thing. That's when blogging started getting more traction, and publications like Elite Daily and Thought Catalog had an open submission policy.
Right.
So what you would do is you would pitch an article, you would write it, and then you would submit it, and they would accept it or not. Now it's a bit more difficult because there's an application process because of the influx of writers online now. So I think that was in 2013 with Elite Daily.
Okay.
And I got my heart broken. So I'm just gonna channel all that into an article.
Yeah.
And then I submitted it, and I got really lucky. Like they accepted it, and then they published it. So that's kind of like when I started writing online. And then I was like, all right, so Elite Daily and Thought Catalog, they have the same kind of like millennial market. So it was just kind of like pitching and submitting to one publication and then trying to do the same thing for another publication.
Right.
That's and then awesome. Life Hack came a little bit down the line.
And so stop me here if I'm sharing too much, but then you have something coming up with P.S. I Love You, or already, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, already.
Right, okay.
So, 2 pieces.
Okay.
And they both got accepted. So really excited.
Gotcha. That is awesome. And I've read one, and I think it almost made me cry because I kind of felt that like in my own, from my standpoint, we always have our loved ones there, and that was an amazing read. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so you have another one coming out. That's what you just said, right?
No, that was my second
one. Okay, excuse me. Yeah, okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so not only on the global stage, but also in Guam, you've done things for local publications. So yeah, just talk to me about that. I know that you've done Mariana's Business Journal. the Post and the PDN, which everybody that is from Guam or, knows about Guam knows the main newspaper.
So this is one thing I definitely want to highlight during our conversation, and that's connections and not knowing who you're going to connect with when, and just that itself is kind of like the crossroads of changing the trajectory of your life almost. And so all these opportunities almost happen somewhat pattern-like, if that makes sense. So for example, I was interning, I had a high school internship with Vibe at Guam PDN.
Okay.
And that's when I worked with, like, for example, like Derek Sablon from PDN, Crystal Paco, and we were kind of like in the same like cohort.
Okay.
So after I was interning at PDN, I came back and I believe Crystal was working at KUAM at that time.
Okay, yeah.
So I decided to do an internship at KUAM, and then that's where I met Mindy again. So now Mindy again, I believe she's the president or I believe CEO. I may have to double check that, or editor-in-chief at the Post.
Okay.
So just by making all these connections, sometimes they would just have my name in the back of like the radar and just be like, do you still freelance, right? Or do you still write? So I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we're looking for freelance work. I was like, yes. And then it kind of just like starts from there.
Yeah.
So the Post, my gigs at the Post, Marijuana's Business Journal is all through connections. Like just even, I believe with Marijuana's Business Journal, I applied for a job there and I didn't get accepted, but my editor, who's been my editor for the past 6 years, had me just on her roster. So she would message me every now and then and be like, hey, are you available to do these like articles? So I said yes. And then he's what introduced me to my current job right now.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and that's funny. That brings me to a point where, you said networks. Networks to me, my mom has taught me throughout my entire life that, sometimes it's not what it's who right? And especially in the creative side of things, a lot of the times you can't get something done if you don't network with people. And that's why we're sitting together today, because of our network. So we talked about basically what you've done on the local scene and, the local publications, and also on the global standpoint of, writing. But now I want to talk about what we discuss in the aspect of the networking. Networking is huge, like, and like we all know as creatives, the network is the lifeline of what we do. And that's why you and I are sitting here today talking. And that's because we went on tour with a local Guam band called Surrender the Thief. We went to Japan in early 2019 and we had a blast. So just tell me how that kind of came to fruition for you. How did you get involved with that tour?
Yeah, so I think it kind of goes back to connections, right? And it's not just networking on a professional standpoint, but just connecting with people. I think that's what a lot of my work kind of comes down to, is like the human connections and how we could, in many forms and ways, be human again.
Right.
And value our relationships with each other and whoever we meet. So for example, like you and I met by a very, very slim chance.
Agreed.
Yeah, as small of a community we have here back home, like we've never run into each other.
Right.
We met each other through the tour and through Surrender the Thief. And even at that point, I believe like I was close to Julius and Jonah from A Long Drive Home. But other than that, I didn't really know anyone else like well. But then if you backtrack, the reason why we went on tour is because earlier that year, I decided to collaborate with Julius Naranjo, who's my amazing business partner. And now we have another partner as part of the collective team. And we want to shoot a documentary. And Julius went to school with Charles.
Yes.
But even me meeting Julius, was also by chance. And we met in high school. We didn't talk for 10 years. We ended up at the same like bar one night. I didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there. We just like, hey, how have you been? I was like, I'm good. He goes, I want to shoot documentaries, but I need a writer. And at that time I was like, I'm a writer, but I don't know how to shoot anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Let's meet up for coffee. And we're both kind of like, drunk.
Yeah.
So the next day, I messaged him, like, hey, don't forget, we're meeting for coffee today. He was like, okay. So we met for coffee. We brain dumped our ideas, and decided that let's try to work out this business. That was also by a chance, So that's what I'm saying. Coming back to like networking and connections, it's really just being genuine and meeting people with intent. And I noticed that you talk about intent a lot in your writing too, and in your social media posts. But if you go about everything with intent, I feel like the universe would just kind of bring these relationships. And with that, it's just fruition, and these projects that's more aligned to you will start coming up.
I agree.
So that's how we got with Surrender a Thief, I think, is because of the intent that I put out there to want to create, docs.
Right.
And Julian's too also had that intent, got together, met STT, then met you. Had such a blast in Japan.
Crazy time. The best thing I've ever done. As far as music is concerned, I've never had that much fun in my entire life. That was so much fun.
It was just like back to back, and I remember just like the first day, I don't know if you remember this, but I think everyone was kind of like, okay, Akina speaks Japanese, so she'll let us went to get off the bus, and we all hopped in the bus. And then we have this group chat going on. I was like, oh, okay, so we get off at the next stop. And the boys started messaging. Charles was like, now? I was like, no, the next stop. How about now? No, the next stop. And then after like 10 minutes, I was like, oh, these guys are just like pulling my leg.
Yeah, you knew what you were going to get yourself into after that point.
Then I knew, basically. Yeah. Then I knew.
Yeah, we're a bunch of jokesters, especially because we're all high school buddies, right? Like I was the one who left pretty early. But pretty much everyone stayed, and I wasn't even supposed to go on that tour. That tour wasn't meant for me. I was just kind of like, I happened to be available when they needed it. And I guess the same for you guys, you and Julius. It's just some amazing timing, but that was probably by far the best experience I've ever had on any tour, on any trip with a group of people, as far as, music is concerned. Yeah, and a lot of drunk nights too. A lot of like regrettable like hangovers, like sitting there. You guys are sick. We're like, we want to party, but we're so sick. And we're just sitting there pounding highballs and like this really hot, like the heater's on and like trying to eat old 7-Eleven food. And like, it was so much fun.
Runs, holy moly. Man. But for everyone watching, you have like the biggest sweet tooth, I found out. So like
that is the truth.
And you could like plug in the vlog that we made in here if you want as B-roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, there is proof.
I have videos of you. I think I was vlogging. I have a video of you. We just ate lunch. We had ice cream. And then you were buying 6 donuts.
I remember that.
Peter, what are you doing? He's like, I'm buying 6 donuts. I'm like, dang, okay. And then you go and buy gummies since, that's why I have gummies on this.
Exactly. And you know what's funny is every time I think about anything food related to that trip, I'm almost I feel a ton of regret that I didn't eat more. Isn't that kind of bad? Like, I wish I had 10 times that amount of gummies in my pocket at any given time. But I'll tell you what, though. And you, out of anybody, you will know that the ume candy that which I can't find here anywhere, by the way, or online. And I even took a picture and I can't find the picture anymore. That is probably one of the best candies I've ever had in my life. So I am a candy fanatic.
The one that's like, like this.
That's a good one, but that one's really strong.
Really?
That one's like really strong to me. But it's that one, it was like in a Ziploc bag. I guess a pre-sealed Ziploc bag. And they were round, pink, like powdery, like they look like beans pretty much. But hands down, that was like one of the best things I had, other than, all the other food that we consumed.
I know. That was definitely the first time I ever been on tour, because I'm not a musician, so I don't know.
Yeah.
What goes in and out to like break up and set up and just you guys were late to your first sound check.
I know, right? And that's the crazy thing is like that was a real tour, you know, like
Yeah.
a lot of people don't see what happens, and you guys were able to capture that, and we were
Yeah.
able to share that with people. So other than actually having that to share with people, we have the memories that we take on for the rest of our lives, and we can share with our family and our kids, you know. But I was thankful for you guys. I was thankful for you guys for sharing your knowledge of Japanese culture and the language. Otherwise, I think we would have been in a lot of trouble.
I'm pretty sure there was a couple of times when we would eat and no pictures, and the waiter would come and like, ate chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken. I couldn't read anything else. I'm like, just chicken.
Yeah.
You guys good with that? Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. We don't need anything else, and then we're fine. And then we can just kind of, if anything fails on the way back to the Airbnb, just get some sandwiches at 7-Eleven, and we're good.
I love it. Good times.
Awesome. Good times. Well, before we close up here, there's a couple things I wanted to ask. And I wanted to kind of make this kind of a thing that we do on this show here. And one of the main things, and being island related, being that Oceania is made up of Melanesia, Polynesia, Micronesia, we've got all these islands. I thought a cool question would be the cliche, if you were stuck on a deserted island, what are the 3 things you would bring with you? And so, Akina, today I'm asking you, if you happen to be pulled off from Guam in this very second and they put you on some random island with nothing, what would you bring to keep your sanity? Or let me add on to that. If not just for sanity, for logical purposes in maybe building a hut or a fire, but anything you can choose. 3 things, what would it be?
Do you play Animal Crossing? Like, is this like Animal Crossing? Question. I haven't really like played it, but I'm assuming like one of those nets where you catch fish.
A net, like a talaza?
Sure. Okay. Yes, a talaza. Okay. But I was definitely thinking of Animal Crossing. Well,
okay.
Personally, need a blanket because I get cold.
Okay.
So you bring a blanket.
That makes sense.
I think gummies. Gummies are my comfort food. I've actually come to like realize that gummies are my comfort food. And yeah, talaza. So
a blanket, gummies, and a talaza. And for people that don't know what a talaza is, it's a fishing net. So I think that's very smart, because if you were on an island, there's chances that there will be trees, hopefully, or coconuts where you can hydrate. So you're staying warm, you have a net to catch fish, and you have something to keep you comfortable, and that's the gummies. That's a great answer. So everybody, make sure you stack up on your gummies, because you're going to need it if you ever get stuck on an island. Awesome. Well, again, Akina, thank you so much for, joining with me on this first episode.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And I hope that we can do more of these. My plan is to do a lot more of these so that we can spotlight our creatives, and spotlight people who really perpetuate our culture, and not just Micronesian culture, but Oceania culture, near and far, remotely, whether it's there in Guam or here in the U.S. So the last question I have for you is basically, where can people find you? Do you have social media if you want to share it? And then what's next? What's next for Akina after this?
Oh, okay. So I reactivated my Instagram for you, Peter.
Yeah.
Also because I got to take part in this amazing project with A Long Drive Home that you'll probably see soon.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I want to share that too. So you can find me at Akina, but spelled differently. So it's AHKEENA on Instagram.
And I'll add that. I'll add that here in the description.
Yeah. And then on Facebook, I do have a page where I just share my writing. So it is Akina Marie, and same on Medium. So I've been trying to publish on Medium more often.
Cool. Awesome. And what I'll do as well is anybody that's watching, you can find all her publications. I'll link them below so that they can check you out. And then obviously, yeah, all her social media where you can follow her and keep track with, you know, all the stuff that she's doing for our community. But again, Akina, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I know you're a busy person, and I'm just really thankful. I'm really thankful for you coming on this show. And lastly, before we break it off here, I just want everybody to know that there is a possibility we may be doing more, me and Akina, with this show here, whatever we're gonna call it. We don't have a name yet, but again, thank you so much, Akina. I hope you stay safe, and I hope that I can come home soon because I need a recharge, man. It's time to come to Guam, but hopefully soon.
We're all waiting for you here.
All right, man.
Just waiting for your crew.
See you later, Akina.
Right.
Bye. Hey.